Welcome back to our 3-day masterclass. We are on day 2. Today, we are going to start exploring what it looks like to build the foundation for healing through the body so that we can get into the wisdom and start bringing it out, bringing it forth, right? If you missed the first day, go ahead and tap back into that recording. A lot of gems were dropped, a lot of awareness, a lot of things opening up. So brace yourself. It was a really good session, really good session. If you have not met me, my name is Ashleie Elaine, and I am so glad to be able to do this 3-day masterclass with you, where we really start to begin to tap into our body, to start looking at what those experiences have been, those past experiences have been, so that we can bring them forth and find the wisdom in them and transmute them into something so beautiful. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and get us grounded, get us centered. Go ahead and find that comfortable seated posture, right? Really grounding down into the sit bones. Option here is to bring your gaze down your nose or completely close your eyes. Allow yourself to feel what feels good and safe for your body and your surroundings. And just begin to focus on find and connect with your breath. No need to change the rhythm or the pattern. Just be aware of how fast it's moving, how slow it's moving, its patterns, if it's skipping a beat. Just take note, right? This is where we begin to build awareness of what is happening internally. I will take a nice big inhale and inhale as if you're pulling the breath from the tailbone or from deep down under the earth, under the ground, and pulling it all the way up through the body. And maybe stop at the heart space and gently exhale, keeping the breath nice and calm, keeping the body nice and calm. Nice big inhale, really pulling the breath from the tailbone all the way up through the spine. And maybe bringing the breath up a little bit higher, maybe to like your nose, to your face. And gently exhale when the body is ready, sending that breath back down the spine and into the earth. We'll do that one more time. So really draw the breath from the earth all the way up through the tailbone, through the spine, through the throat. Bring it all the way up past the head. Bring it to the crown of your head. And gently begin to exhale. Keep control of the breath, keeping the body calm, keeping the nervous system calm, releasing any tension, tightening, or tensing in the body. And maybe allow yourself to move through that one more time. Again, this is to just take inventory, bring awareness to the body as we move with the breath, as we make awareness of our breath, connect with our breath. And when the body is ready, you can slowly begin to blink the eyes open. Beautiful. I want to just share really quick as we were engaging in that breath work. I kept hearing connection brings awareness, and awareness brings relationship, right? And what we're diving into today is perfect in what just what came up during, I was going to say risen, but what came up during that breath work, right, is when there's no connection, how do we have relationship, right? Think about relationships with people, right? Connection brings embodiment, it brings awareness, it brings that sense of intimacy, right? It brings intimacy, not a sense of, but it brings intimacy. And when we lack connection, we lack relationship. So today is all about that, right? Like creating that foundation for relationship with our breath, with our body, with our spirit, and looking at what is our current relationship status. Mm. What is your current relationship status with your body? What is your current relationship status with your spirit? What is your current relationship status with your breath? What came up for you after that breath work, right? Take a minute to sit with that, right? We first have to be the safe space container for ourselves to go into the container and do the healing work. Some of this is in my notes, but I'm going to tell you now it's not. This was dropped in, right? If I don't feel safe with myself to be vulnerable with myself, how am I going to get the information that I need from what I've already experienced so that I don't go through those experiences again? Mm, right? How can I not be vulnerable with myself? Tell myself the truth first, right? Go back into those spaces where it's like, okay, I don't want that to happen again. So, what do I need to do differently so that it doesn't happen again? That's where the wisdom starts to come in, right? And then we start embodying what did that feel like? There's experiences that I've had that when I think about them, it's now to a point where it's like I remember what my body felt. I don't want to feel that again, right? I don't want to feel my stomach drop to my feet. I don't want to feel how fear felt of how this person was going to speak to me or treat me or if they were going to hit me again. I don't want to feel those things again, right? I don't want to feel scarcity anymore. I don't want to feel like I don't have anything anymore, right? I don't want to feel like I can't move and be myself. I don't want to feel like I can't be free to live authentically anymore. I don't want to feel like I have to follow the herd or do what this person tells me to do because this is how they want me to be. This is how they want me to move. This is how they want me to show up, right? So when we talk about embodiment and the wisdom of the body, right? We first need to understand how abuse, trauma, big T, little t, how it disconnects us from our body, right? Remember yesterday in day one, we talked about the fight, flight, or freeze mode. You can get stuck in those modes, right? And not be able to integrate what that experience did for you or what it brought up for you, right? Our bodies hold such valuable information about our experiences that we need so that we can process how to move forward. And a lot of times after the experience, we're stuck. We're stuck in that experience, even when the experience is no longer being experienced, right? That moment in time is no longer being present, but it's present with us because our body can't move beyond that experience, right? So when we talk about embodiment and its role in healing trauma, this is where we begin to tap inward, right? And start collecting that information about what our body is holding, why we're crying so much, why I can't cry, why am I so angry, why am I so enraged, right? I share this story often with when I was working with teenagers, right? Teenagers are angry, right? Add a layer of trauma, add a layer of the juvenile justice system, add a layer of a parent being in prison, add a layer of community violence, add a layer of sexual abuse, add a layer of teen pregnancy, add a layer of you name it, right? Just keep add layers of other things outside of a teenager just being a teenager. And I would share with them that at the beginning of my intentional space of wanting to just kind of figure out me, right? And do my healing work. I used to get so angry. It felt like it would come out of nowhere, right? To the point where my stomach would hurt so bad. I needed something to just break. I'm talking about cups flying, something was breaking. I needed to feel the shatter of something, right? Once I started getting into yoga, right? And once I started going to therapy, once I started combining all these practices, right? Getting back to journaling, because I used to be a big journaler when I was in middle school and high school. Once I started really getting curious about, well, why do I do this, right? Where does it come from? I started to realize my body was holding on to anger and rage from my childhood, from the sexual abuse that I experienced in my childhood, from probably, right, my parents' divorce, probably having to move, probably a bunch of other things, right? But there was anger and rage stuck in there because there were emotions that I wasn't given permission to release, right? So when we talk about embodiment, right, we're already embodying the trauma, we're already embodying the experience, right? We're already allowing our soul to be smothered by what this experience has done for us or done to us, right? And this is where we start to get curious about, why do I keep doing this? Why, like, I wanted to know, why do I get so angry to where something needs to break, right? I didn't want to keep doing that. It's not a good look, right? This isn't an overnight process, right? It just doesn't happen overnight, but eventually it will feel like it happened overnight. It's a practice, right? It's a practice of finding these practices, embodying these practices that allow us to go inward and connect with ourselves, connect with the experience that we're having, right? Not even the experience that we've already experienced in that moment in time, but the one that has left the residue of what we're experiencing constantly within our body, right? That's where that experience lives, not just in that moment in time, but it stays with us in our body until we choose to do something with it, right? And staying curious about our body's perception, right? How are we perceiving what happened? Have we given ourselves the opportunity to try and perceive something different, right? The benefits of embodiment can help you reconnect with your body in a safe and supportive way, right? So when we are reconnecting with ourselves, we're nurturing ourselves. This is self-care. right? I know we see self care as like, I can get my hair done, I gotta get my nails done. Like I said yesterday in day one, right? All of this is beautiful, right? It's we need to take care of all of that. But real self care is allowing myself to feel what I need to feel because my emotions are my check engine light, right? If your check engine light comes on in your car, you just gonna keep driving your car and not take it where it needs to go. You don't see your check engine light is on and say, "Woo, road trip, let's hit the road." And now you're driving 10 hours away, and then what happens, right? No, we go get it checked, right? Um, Again, you got to feel safe with you first, right? I want to share, and this is not in my notes, but I think it's needed, right? This is where your season of isolation can come in. And that's a hard season for people. I wrote in my book, Married to Trauma, how I had to learn, especially coming out of abuse, right? Isolation is abusive when you are intentionally being isolated from friends and family. That has happened to me several times, right? I wrote in my book, right back here, that shameless plug, that I had to learn the difference between God's version of isolation, how I was isolating myself, like how I had taught myself how to isolate myself, and then what isolation looked like in abuse. And they're all different, right? The version of isolation that comes from abuse is the version where control comes into play, where I don't want you talking to anybody else. I want to control you. I want to control the narrative. I want to control where you go, what you spend, all of these things, right? And this one was confusing because I wanted love. So it's like, oh yeah, they want to spend all their time with me. Oh, this is beautiful, and I need to go to work. I need to go hang out with my friends. I want to go see my family, right? So let's be mindful and aware of that. My version of isolation or your version of isolation, you have to kind of sit with that and see, okay, how was I taught to deal with myself and my emotions, right? And this could be where we begin to learn if we stay curious and open enough where we begin to learn, okay, am I isolating myself because I'm sad, depressed, all of these things, right? I love spending time by myself. So this was never a problem for me. Or am I avoiding spending time by myself because I'm afraid to be by myself, right? And then God's version of isolation is when he hides you in plain sight, right? You're still around people, but you have these moments where you're detached, we're not detached, where you have to be set apart or you have to be picked up and removed and spend time with yourself, with God, because like he wants you to heal. He wants you to look at yourself. He wants you to spend time with you, with your spirit, with him. He is spirit, right? It's learning and understanding what's happening in that moment. And that's where we begin to look at, am I truly lonely or do I just need to spend time alone? And I'm going to tell you, some of y'all probably just need to spend time alone. You're not lonely. You need to spend time alone. Once you learn to enjoy your own company, decision making is so different, right? Self discovery is different. You connect with yourself different, and you connect with the divine version of who you're supposed to be. You start to uncover that. because now your spirit and your soul isn't being pressed down by the weight of these experiences that you haven't released, that you're still carrying. That moment in time is gone, but it's living within your being and taking up residence rent free, right? It can also allow you, like learning to embody, right? Getting into the body can help look at how we handle stress, right? Improve how we move through our emotions and give us a sense of well-being. I did some research because I kept feeling like I wanted I wanted us to get a better understanding of our wellness and our wisdom. They're very much tied to each other, right? Our emotional regulation, right? Are you able to regulate your behaviors? Are you aware of what's rising within you? Because if you can answer those questions, not just right now, but day by day, hour by hour, in that moment, wisdom has risen, right? Wisdom is a fruit, wisdom is a gift that we get from God, right? Curiosity, do you lean into the messaging that your body is giving you? Lightheartedness and grace, right? Are you able to extend this to yourself without judgment when these emotions come up? How often are we self blaming, right? Defining moments. Are you able to speak to those moments that are like, that was the moment where I was just like, yeah, no, I got to shift. I got to change. Something's got to give. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep moving like this anymore. I can't keep making decisions like this anymore, right? And reminiscence and reflectiveness. That word's got a lot. Do you allow yourself to remember, or are you just stuffing it and removing it? And what happens when your body remembers? What do you do? Right? The wisdom that we cultivate that through the body. The body is where life is born, right? Where all these experiences are born from and lived in or through. So the only way is to go back into the body, into this container, and heal through it also, right? Even if we fight to block the body, we know when we're no longer in fight, flight, or freeze state, we can begin to speak to you about what is ready to release. The body will speak to you about what it is ready to release. Okay. I love curiosity when it's used to really dive deeper into learning. Right. Once upon a time, I wasn't always curious about the right things, but I healed that. Thank you, Lord. I healed that. Um, Curiosity is a very powerful companion to when we're exploring the body's wisdom, right? It's us allowing ourselves to tap back into that childlike imagination. And if anyone has toddlers, niece or nephew that are toddlers, where it's like, but why, but why, but why, but why, right? Everything is open ended, right? Never leave a period for yourself until it comes to your boundaries, until it comes to your worth, right? You with you never leave a period. You with the world, period. Give yourself that comma and that space to go deeper, right? Even if let's sit with self-worth. allowing yourself to continue to raise that bar of who you are, what you deserve, how you're not going to let anybody talk to you a certain way anymore, right? What you know you're worthy of. Keep those commas going as you journey and move into what that looks like for you. What is that for you? Non-judgment, right? Allowing yourself to explore what's coming up in a non-judgmental way, right? So let's take a